La 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 la. Let's make sure we can see everybody. All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Let's see who we have here. Task force finds. Close that. Go back to our ship. All right. Hello. Hello. Havoc is here. Miguel. Holy cow, Miguel's here. Guys, there's only 2 of you here right now. Oh, 24 watching. Nice. Well, Miguel is one of my longtime followers, subscribers, commenters. Miguel, I really appreciate all your comments, brother. Good on you over there. He's always commenting on my videos and has always, given me lots of, what do we say, like inspiration and love and, just being a really good dude. So Miguel, I really appreciate it. And here you are live. It's awesome. All right, I'm gonna adjust a few things. You guys can hear my furnace coming on in the background. That's always fun. So this actually went pretty smooth so far today. That's the top of my head. That was pretty good. Close enough. Not to have the whole thing, but I appreciate it being not cut off completely. I wanted to be able to show you what I'm working on my table because we'll be doing today. I'm going to be working on the leather axe mask like this one. This is my Bushcraft Hatchet that I made on the channel. Our video that has over 1 million views, which is pretty cool. And I made the little mask for it. This one as well. This one, I don't think I made this one on the channel. This one I made on my own. But these little hatchets, man, they are, I make them and keep them really, really razor sharp. So you gotta protect it. It's like just carrying around a knife, no sheath blade out. So when you have really sharp axes, like I keep all my axes really sharp. Gotta protect them with some type of mask. Alright. So here is the hatchet, Bushcraft Hatchet that we hung last week. I've done quite a bit of shaping on this handle. I really like, made the palm swell prominent, nice chamfered edge around the end of that. And thinned it down quite a bit, especially down here where the hand rests at the bottom. And then it's thin at the top. I took a lot of material off of here, and I left it just a little bit thicker in the middle, because I think that's kind of nice. It gives you that feeling of, if you're using it, you're choking up on it to do some small jobs and things. I think it works really well to have this kind of extend out. So it's narrow here, it's kind of narrow, a little narrower in here, and then it flares out in the middle, which is almost like where a normal hatchet handle would be, right? That's where it would stop. So it gives you a little bit of flare out there and fills your hand up a little bit more, so you can kind of use it as a smaller hatchet, and then it narrows down again, thins out here at the bottom before the palm swell at the bottom. And nice palm swell on that. So I mentioned to you guys that I would be working on that quite a bit more, and I really like having the head on it, being able to get the feel of how it feels in your hand as you're moving and swinging it. I used this a little bit this last weekend after our live stream, just to get the feel of it, chop some wood, split some bigger rounds, which was really nice. But then I came back and I adjusted it. It's really nice, kind of an apple seed shape, so it's a little bit thicker at the back, a little thinner at the front. We got Goran Magic from Croatia, hello. MK Woodworking, Primal Wanderers here, what's up, man? Jim Coes from upstate New York. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. This is great. I really enjoy doing the live streams I got a comment on the live stream this week from somebody who was like, just I'm not digging the live streams. You know, I don't like it when people stop to talk to people when you're doing a live stream. Well, that's the whole point of the live stream, right? And I had somebody else who commented and was like, don't watch that. And you know, I don't want to encourage that. I like when people watch these things, and I try to do something. I've had some live streams in the past that was just chatting, but usually I try to do something on it. So in the live stream, you see something happen. But you know, he was perfectly happy with not watching the live stream. He said he still liked my work and was happy to watch other things when they came out. But he just wanted to comment, which is fine. You know, I had a good conversation back and forth with him. All right, Chris, Alan, thank you so much. Miguel, I appreciate that, man. Miguel is, you guys are popping in now. Miguel's been a long time follower and subscriber to the channel. And I really appreciate that, Miguel. It's good to have people all over the world. I was recently, you see I'm wearing my housework shirt, housework swag. You guys listen to the podcast. I just met, we just did our podcast, my brother Devin and I with Brian House from Housework, the channel. He also has a podcast called Work For It. You should check it out. It's also on the Makery Network, and Brian is the reason why we have a podcast is because he actually suggested that we do a podcast and encouraged Craig Lockwood from the Knife Talk podcast to reach out to us, which he did, and the rest is history. So go check out Brian's channel, check out the podcast. We talked to him. We were actually on his podcast a couple months ago as well. So fun time. Yeah, Havoc mentions that he likes podcasts, but you can't always watch them live. I mean, likes live streams, and I agree. You know, and some of the reason why we're doing these live streams are because we want to put out some more content, and this is a way to do some like fast content, and it's also fun to chat with people. You know, and so I get a lot of cool questions and things. Morning, Patriot Chile. Wait, Patriota Chile. Morning. Hey, Brian House is here, everybody. I was just talking about him. Brian House from Housework. I was just talking about your swag, buddy. I'm just talking you up, saying how everybody should go check out our podcasts. You were on ours this week, and we were on yours a couple months ago. So check it out, man. Tom Simons is here, everybody. Tom's a good friend of mine from a long time ago. I met him within the first week of college back in 2001. The rest is history. Joseph Wolf, good to see you. So I was mentioning a little earlier, if you guys are watching, that I took some time and worked on the handle a lot, quite a bit more. I took a ton of material out of here to really give like a nice palm swell at the bottom. I also flared this out some more, cleaned up the end, thinned out the handle at the bottom and then at the top as well, and left it a little bit wider in the middle, so you get kind of this feeling of a hatchet here. You know, so it gets thin to thick, and then it gets thin again at the end, so a really nice spot for your hand. It feels really nice. I kind of made this like an apple seed shape, so it's kind of this shape, which is like a little fatter at the back, and it thins out to the front. It's not quite a point on the front, but it definitely is a little thinner, so when you put your hands on, you wrap your fingers around, it matches the shape of your hand. So your front knuckles go around that, and then the bottom of your hand, so you get this really nice kind of, not octagon, but it fits the hand really nicely. So it's nice. Reasons I got into crafting and making things. Ethan Gradwell, thank you so much, man. Thank you, Brian. Brian, man, I really appreciate it. Brian just paid me back from the shirt that I bought. Thanks, Brian, man. It's so nice. He and I were talking about this as kind of this community. It's amazing that we have this technology now and this ability to really connect with so many people in the world. I mean, I've got, one of my best friends, Tom, watching. I've got people from Chile, and let's see, Havoc Vladimirovich Stanislav. That sounds Russian to me. Miguel from Spain. I've got Goran Magic from Croatia. It's crazy. It's amazing. But It's really nice. There you go. Yeah, and Ethan, right? Ethan from South Africa. I guess everybody who's on the West Coast right now is all still sleeping. It's 10:30. Actually, it's closer to 11 now. On the East Coast of the USA, here in Baltimore, Maryland. There we got New Orleans too. John Brown. It's crazy. Sounds like the future. But yeah, it's cool. It's super nice to be able to connect with so many people all over the world and have you guys come hang out in the shop. I mean, especially now when we're all kind of stuck at home. But I mean, even that, like, our shops are kind of our. This is my studio. This is a place where I can feel comfortable and work comfortably. And I bring you guys in here all the time on the channel. But here we got Victor Koledzki. That's probably not right. He said greetings from Poland. Got people from Poland. But yeah, they're like, you know, the workshop and the studio is this kind of intimate place where I always tell my students, I'm an art and design teacher, an architecture teacher in Baltimore City schools. I tell my students that, like, being an artist, you are exposing yourself to the world. Because you're taking these things and these feelings that are inside of you, and you're putting that out to the world, and you're showing people, and you're asking for criticism. So, being able to do that on YouTube is, you know, you get even more criticism, right? I get all the trolls who like to comment, but I don't get worked up about that. What are you gonna do? But yeah, just, you know, so I have this space in here that's kind of still my space, but it's really nice to be able to bring you guys in and hang out, and I get that feeling of the community that, you know, that you don't necessarily get in any kind of other avenues. So it's fun to be able to chat with everybody and hang out and do a live stream. I'm going to work on making a mask for this hatchet today. So a leather mask to cover the front. It's going to look similar to this one. So this is another, this is a bushcraft hatchet that we made on the channel. In the video, you can go check that one out. But you know, I have a really sharp blade, so we want to have a mask to cover it. This is an easy mask, and this one specifically because both of these have such deep beards. So when you have an axe that comes down really far from the eye, this is called the beard. Yeah, so this is the bit. This is the heel, which is the bottom. If you imagine it like a foot, here's your toe, here's your heel. This is the bit, and then you have a drop down bit like this. It's called a beard. So this has kind of a long beard, which makes it really nice and easy to make a mask for. You don't have to have a mask that wraps around the back. You can just have it come right up the front and wrap around the bottom of the beard and snap on. Now this is not like the tightest mask, but it's perfectly good and stays on all the time. It's never come off without me unsnapping it. Alrighty. So I'm going to be making a mask for this today. Let me grab a little bit of, let's see, grab a piece of paper here. Make a quick sketch. I'll show you guys what I do when I'm making a mask. So you want to, like this, the way this mask is designed is it's just one piece of leather that folds over the top. So, you know, it's all one piece, folds over the top. Once this is open, like that, we have one piece of leather. I have another one that I can show you real quick. My leather box here. One that's in the process of being made. This is a larger one for one of my axes. Let's see if I can find it easily. This is all my leather gear in here. There it is. So this one is actually going to have a strap that goes around, so it doesn't have the snap part at the bottom, but you can see it's one piece of leather, you know, shaped like that, wraps over the top of the axe. I like doing that way because one of the things that does is it gives you the room around the top. So if you were to do two pieces of leather, you'd have to build up the back of the leather because it gets thicker here on the back side. So to be able to open that up, you'd have to build up multiple layers of welt on the inside. If you just wrap it around, it goes really nicely like that, and then you just worry about the snap. So that's what we're going to be doing. We probably won't All right, Primal Wanderer, man. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be here. Just check out the video later. I'm probably not going to go through the entire process, but we'll probably just hang out for maybe about an hour or so, and I'll get you guys going and show you how I would make a leather mask. You can also watch the video that I did on my YouTube channel on the page as well. But I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you hanging out. Primal Wanderer as well. He's one of the guys that comments a lot on my channel and has been around for a while. I really appreciate it. You guys should go check out his channel too. He does some really cool stuff. Rare Timber, Australia. Thank you so much. And he says the bow making was surprising and brilliant. I like that. I like that combination of those two things. It's like, didn't expect it, you know. And when I made that video, we weren't sure how it would do. It almost fits in here. You know, I've been doing knife making videos and axe videos and some woodworking stuff and different projects, and we had been thinking about doing a. No, that might not work. We've been thinking about doing an axe, a bow making video for quite a while, ever since we started the channel. So we decided to eventually do it, and it turned out really good. Got a lot of views on it. People really liked it, and I think that's something that we'll probably definitely do more of. We've been in contact with the teacher who actually taught me how to make bows. His name is Kirk Dreyer. He is a naturalist and a park ranger here in Maryland, in Baltimore. And I took his bow making class. My 3 brothers and I, and our good friend Sean from the Crafting Life I Want channel. Yeah, it was just a super awesome class. And I reached out to him recently to see if he had hickory, because that's the bows that he made were hickory. And he did. He has hickory. I asked him if I could buy some, and he said no, but he would be happy to give me some staves. And so, to your guys' benefit, I'll get a stave, a hickory, and I'll show you how to make a hickory bow in a video. The nice thing about hickory bows, as opposed to Osage orange, is that you don't have to do all of the chasing of the growth ring on the back side of the bow. Here above me I have, this is a bow that my wife is working on, a stave that she's been making. And it's coming along pretty nicely. This is Osage, and the back of the bow is what faces away from you. So right now it's bent this way, but it's actually, that's some reflex into it. It's actually going to go this way, so you hold it and draw this way. So as you're pulling towards you, this part that faces you is the belly. So you imagine someone like crouching over like this. The back is what shoots the arrow that way, and the belly is what's inside. So on Osage, you have to remove the growth rings so you remove the bark and the sapwood, and then you chase a growth ring. So you go down and you go through those growth rings, and you cut off the wood, so that way you're left with one entire growth ring across the bow. That is a long process, and it's one of the harder parts of doing bow making. If you can get past that part, then you're good. Then it comes down to tillering. And the beauty of hickory is that you don't have to do any of that. You just take the bark off, and there's the back of your bow. So I want to show you guys how to do that, just because I think it's a really awesome technique and a much easier way to get into bow making. I love Osage. It's beautiful and it's fun, and I love the history of it in the United States and Indians and using it all over this country. So there's something alluring to me about that. I'd love to get a yew stave as well, and do a bow out of yew the traditional way that the English bowyers would have done it. So keep that in mind. If anybody has a good connection or somebody you can put me in contact with, I can get a good yew stave. Lasting build. Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. The podcast has been fun, man. It's a whole new experience. My brother and I were talking to Brian House a couple days ago. We recorded on Thursday, and then the episode came out yesterday. And Brian House from Housework and the Work For It podcast. And we were just talking about how it's really nice. Like it's such a cool avenue. It's something different. And Devin, my brother, who was on the podcast with me as well, you guys all know that, and does all of the filming and editing for our channel. Thank the Lord. He, Devin was saying how at first it kind of weirded him out, this idea of this weekly categorization of our lives that'll be there forever. As long as we keep doing the podcast, which we don't see why we wouldn't, because it's really fun to hang out and chat and put it out each week. We keep doing it, and then there'll be this catalog of our lives. Everything that's happened to us, and we talk about week to week and what we're doing. Talk about videos, and he said it was kind of freaking him out a little bit. It was a little odd, maybe not really not nervous about it, but it was just something that was pressing on his mind. I was just referring back to a few different places, like a couple different podcasts, and people who say that you're building up this catalog of content on YouTube and on podcasts, and I feel like we were having this discussion, we all kind of want to leave a mark in the world, something that we've done, something that we're proud of, and I think that Devin and I and everybody who enjoys making connection with people and building things and leaving a legacy and teaching, we can really get a lot out of YouTube and out of Instagram and out of podcasts, because it really gives us that avenue to reach out to people and create a community and to leave a legacy and leave something behind that we're proud of. So, but yeah, it's an odd thing. It's we also said it's kind of funny. You have this a little taste of fame when you start to get more people, and even just like super small channels. You get people commenting, and you feel like, oh wow, people are actually watching and they're enjoying what I'm doing. People all over the world who watch me and know my face. That's kind of an odd thing, but it's the right bit of fame. That's what we want. You want the fame where it's like you feel really connected with people. It's like the fame that you have when you go, say, like, I'll give you a scenario. Say, like, you're a best friend from high school, goes into acting and then is in a movie. And you're like, oh man, that's so cool. You feel so connected. Like, you feel like you're part of that person's life. That you were a little bit there. You kind of helped them get to that point. And that connection is really nice. And I think that everyone who participates in this community can have a little bit of feel of that. And I do it with all sorts of other people and all sorts of other channels, and it's a really cool thing. It's really cool. I like it. All right, Luke Carpenter. Luke from South Wales, UK. Luke, good to see you, man. I appreciate the compliments. All right, so the way that I set up to make a sheath, and this I do with knife sheaths as well, because they wrap around the back of a knife. Oh, yeah, a little glimpse into the past. Here's my old knives. The saw blade knives I made. This like a 5-inch. We got 5 1/4-inch blade, Bubinga handle, brass pins, and a sheath. This is a fold-around sheath. It kind of just wraps around the back of the knife blade. So that's one of the type of things that we can do. So I'm going to trace out the bit. So I'm tracing out the entire blade on this paper, and then I'm just going to flip and roll the axe over, trying to make sure that I take into account the thickness of the blade and also the eye of the axe. Moving too much, keep everything steady, because you can imagine this is what the leather is going to be doing. It's going to be wrapping around the top of the axe. So now we'll do this here. I'll trace this. Okay. Now let me go over this with a Sharpie so you guys can see it. I agree. Lasting Build says he appreciates the discussions in the podcast that would not keep the audience's attention on YouTube. And I agree. I mean, we all have short attention spans. I mean, even myself, I'm watching a YouTube video and starting to go slow, or I can't really follow along, I'm easily distracted. I'll be like, see ya. Gotta go do something else, gotta go watch another video. It's gonna hold my attention. We're all that way, unfortunately, but that's the way of the world and that's the way of people. You know, people want to see, you want the flashy lights, you want things happening. And even if it's not, it doesn't have to be, there you go, there's the, it doesn't have to be, you know, super fast things, but you want to definitely be keeping people's attention a certain way. We do it by, you know, changing clips up all the time in the YouTube videos. So always like do a close up, do a zoom out, then we'll do a close up on my face and a close up on the thing, and then we'll like look at the water bucket, and then we'll look at a tool, and things are always moving. You know, you're not like, we'll do some time lapse and things, but whale tail, yeah. But you know, those things are more, you know, when we want to show, we want to give you a little bit of a glimpse of how long the process takes, because so often we're just like, you know, if I'm grinding a knife, right, there may be maybe a minute long sequence of me grinding. Knife grinding takes a long time. Leather stitching, shaping wood, you know, all these things take a long time. So it's nice to incorporate some of those time lapses in, just to give you kind of a taste of how long the process takes. Whale tail. Okay, so there's my outline. Now I got to incorporate a certain amount of distance for the welt where I'm going to be putting rivets. So I'm going to leave, let's see, yeah. Keep on walking out of the frame, keep you guys interested. I'll be putting in rivets to hold this together. And I just want to kind of figure out which ones I'm going to use, so that way, okay, that's snap, that might work. Got my thing here, these are little brass rivets. Brass. I might be using brass rivets. Those are brass snaps. Let's see what we got. More snaps. These are rivets. These are all little ones, I believe. Yes. More snaps. Oh, there we go. I think those are. Might be long enough. Might not have long enough ones. Oh, that's okay. Probably won't be getting to the rivet part anyway today, but I just want to kind of get an idea of how big I wanted them to be. So we're going to be doing, I'm going to leave, let's see, 1, 2, that's pretty small. Let's see, that one's like a probably 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch. Yeah, 1/2 inch. I'm going to go 5/8 just to make sure I have plenty. It's a Halloween stream. Kentucky Catman Outdoors Adventures. I'm making, oh yeah, thank you, just noticed the title. Making a leather hatchet mask. Yeah, I'm making a mask to cover up this hatchet, this bushcraft hatchet. Bushcraft mod half hatchet. Started out not exactly like, but similar to half hatchet. I removed some of the nail puller and changed the bit just a smidge, removed some of the hammer pull, and left me with that. So just kind of worked that. Also, one of the things I really like to do is I put, so most half hatchets will have kind of this bevel at the top. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, so got a bevel there. So I like to mimic that and do a bevel at the bottom. See that? Maybe? So I continue that bevel so that way it mimics the top and bottom. that and chamfer the edge at the end of the hammer pole. I took off about a little bit less than half, but I still have a quarter inch or so of hardened hammer on the end of that. So I'm going to measure 5/8 all the way down, just make a couple marks, and then I'll just follow those along. This doesn't have to be perfect because I'm probably going to end up cutting this down to about 1/2 inch for the welt and for where the rivets will go. I might actually, depending on the rivets that I have, I might actually leave it without. And because, so the one that I made on the channel, I actually didn't put a welt in because I only used the brass rivets. And brass is softer than, the bit of the axe, the hardened edge. So it's not really an issue if you put that in there. Even if it's a really tight fit, so everything kind of fits in nice and tight, and rarely will that hit those brass rivets. Now, when I'm doing stitching, I always put a welt in because you want the leather welt, which is the spacer between the two layers of leather. You have a spacer in there that protects the stitching. But I think I'm just going to do rivets, and I don't really need a welt so much when you do rivets, because it's just, you kind of want to protect the bit from those metal rivets, but with metal rivets, with brass rivets, they're not going to damage your bit. Making a good pattern for the work. Yep. Be more comfortable working leather, metal, or wood? I don't know. I mean, I do it all. More comfortable. Probably metal. I think metal is more forgiving because of how hard it is to work. So if I grind, like as an example, I had a little bit of like tarnish build up on this just from it being down the shop and then using it. So I took it over to my belt grinder and took like a 250 grit or 280 grit belt and took a little bit of the material off here, and it actually scratched a little bit up here, and I was doing the same thing. I was using a little bit of the grinder to hit here, and I got a couple scratches on the metal. Now, if that was wood or that was leather, those little scratches, that'd be it. Like, it would have just bit right through it because it's so much less forgiving, right? It's soft. The wood is, you make a little mistake and then it's done. So metal, you can make little mistakes and fix them pretty easily. I mean, you can do that with leather and you can do that with wood as well. But, yeah, I don't know. I like working with all of it. There's something fun and alluring, though, about, like, the hot steel or, like, making knives and axes and all that stuff. Just the permanence to it and the raw nature of what it is. Us as men, love metal things. All right. Cyber Troll, thanks so much, man. Great to see you here. I appreciate it. I will have a good day. Been making knives for years, but I picked up. Awesome. I appreciate that, man. I've done the same thing. I pick up tips from other people all the time. And almost all of my knife making and almost a lot of my making skills, the things that I do in the shop, I've gotten from other YouTube channels. Oh, just realized I have my drawings on the back of this for the wands that I was making, the wand that I made for my daughter. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see. Can you see that? Oh yeah, the drawings for different wands. My daughter just had her 11th birthday, so I made her a wand. I actually made, let's see, 1, 2, 3. If you count down from the top, 3, that wand, the third from the top, is the one that I made for her. But I also kind of included the spiral of the 4th one down. So that space, those few spaces in the handle in the wand, I made a combination of 2 of these designs. That's okay. It's done now. So let's see. Okay. Where are we? all right, so I've drawn out the 5/8 of an inch or so out from the front. So I have added that extra material, which I will either stitch or rivet into, probably rivet. Grab a pair of scissors. So now I got to think about the snap, where that's going to come over. And on a pattern, you have to think about, the pattern that I'm drawing is going to wrap around. So you got to know what is the inside, what is the outside of the leather. So this one you see inside outside. If this one has a snap on it, depending on which side you want to do it from, I always put the opening and closing connections of my masks on the left side of the bit when it's facing away from me, because I'm right-handed. So I'll be holding the axe with my right hand and take the mask off with my left hand. I'm going to be able to access that snap. Which is here, you see, if this is facing forward, the snap is on the left side. So I need to make sure I keep that in mind. So if this was open, it would be like that, and that would put the snap on this side. Now we can flip that, it's fine, you just have to know which side is which. And I left some room over on this other side. So I need to, it's going to be like that and that. All right, that's the open side, so the snap is going to be on your right and my left. Come from the front, it needs to come down low enough that it wraps around, and it needs to go like so. It's up there. So I'm going to bring this a little bit further over to this way. I like to make sure I leave plenty of material for the snaps, because they tend to, it looks like you have enough material when you're doing the drawing, and then as soon as it wraps over and you get that into an extra material, it wraps over and you end up having your snap is like right on the edge. So just make sure you leave some additional material. This one's a good reference for it. I'm leaving even more in this one. Go like that. And this needs to fold up here. So I'm going to bring it over more this way. There we go. I think that's better. So I'm just doing this by experience, thinking about where that leather is going to fold. So this axis here, this snap will come up here, leaving myself some additional material just to make sure that'll roll over. This is probably going to come like this. There we go, 1/2 inch. That's going to fold there. Fold is like this. So that's going to come up there. Make sure the snap is over here. Like that. Okay. Additional material. Alright, that was kind of all over the place, but I think the final one is kind of what we're looking for. There you can see I've added where this snap is going to come. So down, comes around, right? The snap is going to be about here, and it'll fold back over. And you got to imagine the straight line, right? The snap somewhere around here, it'll come up and snap in here. That's what we're aiming for. Now we can be a little bit more creative. This needs to come down. Make sure I leave enough material here. This can come like so. And make sure we're about the same height away. Hey, Sean from Crafting Life I Want. Good to see you here. Let's see. Real men never bury the hatchet. They like continue the rampage until wife or mama says that dinner's ready. Yeah, right. I like that. I never bury the hatchet. Oh wait, food? Okay, yeah. You know the way to a man's heart. Rainy Day Forge, nice housework tee. Brian's here, man. I love that guy. I'm happy to support him. And he was on our podcast yesterday. It came out yesterday. doing awesome stuff, man. And Brian, if anybody on this channel is interested in a grinder, go check out Brian's grinder, man. He came up with the Revolution 2x72 grinder. I think it's so cool. It's just super innovative, and it's just like his mind just blows me away sometimes. So go check out his stuff. You can go over to housemade.us and look up his plans. You can get them for, if you have the ability at all to weld. Obviously you need that because they're not a no weld build grinder, but if you can weld, you can buy his kit, and it's so much more inexpensive than buying a pre-made grinder. All right. All right, so now I'm gonna, let's see, we're at, go here. I like to kind of have this nice little swoopy swoop. Nice, look interesting. This will come up around here, and all right. So that's there. That's there, something like that. I've got plenty of material here. All right. So I'm going to cut this side out, and then I'll fold it over the center line, and then cut the other side so it looks the same. That's my center line. Actually, let's see. Like this. Fold you on the center line. Go like so. I'm going to cut down there. Now I have this same shape on both sides, so I'm trying, instead of trying to draw this line and have it match up on both sides, I just cut that, so now I already have that cut. Continue cutting around. Welcome to the Art of Craftsmanship cut and paste page. Give myself some extra material always, just to make sure. And then we'll come down across the front, cut the jaw. Someone mentioned earlier that making a good template is pretty important, and it is, especially with like custom stuff, because everything that all these custom half hatchets are all one-offs. They're not. I mean, each half hatchet's a different shape, so it's not like I can make one mask. Now, obviously, there are plenty of masks that would be perfectly serviceable. But the snap over top masks kind of have to be custom fit, because they got to fit nice and tight. If you have a mask like a snap around where you have the front, and then you just have a snap that, a strap that goes around behind the handle. So this would go here, and you would have a strap that comes around here behind the handle, and tighten that on that. You could make a whole bunch of those and sell them, which they do, and get them from a lot of really nice places. But there we go. So there's my template. So this, we'll check it on here. Right, something like, my blade is there. Get that in the right spot. And then, the other way, like this. Make sure we're doing it the right way. Like so. And then this snaps up. I'll do it like that. So fold over, snap up, and remove a little bit of material here. Trim this down. Like that. Rainy day people. That's pretty good. That needs to be a little less. That's why I try to custom fit all these to make sure they are fitting perfectly. Make a nice little paper template before you do it. Goes a long way. All right, just like that. The snap will come up. I have plenty of material here. Still needs to be a little bit less here. I keep hitting, which is okay. Just remove a little material. me a mosquito. There. So now that fits right on there. The blade's there. Snap comes up like this. I can make that nice and tight so it doesn't want to slide down. You can see now because there's so much beard, if I put a snap here, obviously we're not going to be able to pull this out because it can't open, you know, the opening, the leather where the mask, where the axe bit's going to go in is, it's only so small, right? So that's why I really like this type of fold over snap mask for anything that has a beard on it. So there we go. Bloop, bloop, bloop. All right. Now comes the leather time. So we've got our template. I actually have some leather here and I was hoping it would work. And it definitely will not. All right, that's a little scrap. That's okay. Let me grab my roll of leather and we'll do it from that. All right. So I always buy leather from Tandy Leather Factory. I like going in and checking out what they have. And this leather is not looking good. Unfortunately, my basement's a little damp. So I get a little bit of like mildew and stuff, but ooh, that looks right. Oh, what are you gonna do? Swing this around this way. It looks clean on the other side, and it's gonna be dyed, so it doesn't need to be perfectly clean now. Make sure everything's dry out and clean before I send it to my buddy Matt, who's getting this half hatchet. Matt was a band member of Devin's in his band called Pushing Giants, and they worked on all the music for our channel. All the music you've heard on our channel has been recorded by Devin and Matt and their other buddy Matt on drums. All right, let's see how we're doing. Okay, so now I have my template. Find a spot on the leather. Leather is super expensive. Well, I mean, not super expensive, but it's expensive. It's one of those things where I try to use it sparingly. So you see, I'll try to find a spot that works the best, that I can get my leather into and use the most of what I have. And also think about what projects I'm going to be doing in the future with this as well. So other other sheaths and things, and what, how I will use the leather better later. Thanks, man. I have a dehumidifier in my basement. Still damp. Run it all the time. But again, I do the leather work that I do is for myself, mostly for like axe masks and knife sheaths and things like that. So if I were to start producing things and making, more leather work for sale, I would I'd make sure I take a little bit better care of the leather. But these are, I really, like I was saying earlier, I like to get my leather from Tandy Leather Factory. And I have a local one, a brick and mortar Tandy Leather Factory nearby. I like to go in and buy this directly from them and look at it, because I can get pieces that are on sale because they have some blemishes, but there's like a ton of still good material. And this is 7 to 8 ounce leather. This is a single shoulder piece, so you can kind of get away with checking out the leather. If you're going to buy leather, you're going to pay a little more expensive if you're buying it directly online, because you have to pay for premium leather to be able to make sure you're going to get good quality leather without being able to see it and look over it on your own. I had somebody reach out to me recently on YouTube and ask about that, where I get my leather materials from and leather, and a bunch of questions, and I tell them that my preference and what I would suggest, if people have a Tandy or a leather store that's within reasonable driving distance, to go and look at the leather you're buying, because you might get a good deal on buying something a little bit less expensive that might have a small blemish or something, or just maybe like a side. You can look through all their sides that they have and find a really good one. And it would be much more reasonable to purchase it. All right, so here's my template on the leather. Make sure I'm doing it the right way. This folds over. Double check it. Got to double check. Make sure you're doing it the right way. Make sure you're cutting it on the right side. This is going to be like this and snap. So that means this is the inside, this is the inside. Okay. Yeah. Always double check before you cut. So this folds this way. That means that's outside. Good. Outside snaps. All right. Okay. Now we'll cut. Let's have a Stanley X-Acto or a knife. I just found that they usually work the best. Let's do this. Put on some more light behind my shoulders so I can see. Studio lighting. Yes, so you guys can see what's back there. Oh, ooh, how's that? Hey. Ooh, looks good. All right. Hey, Kydex sheaths. I have not made any Kydex sheaths, and I even thought about that this morning. I was like, I wonder if I could make a Kydex mask. Like I said, I haven't made any Kydex sheaths, but I do have a piece of Kydex that I bought with the intention to give it a go, try out the process. I really like the idea of Kydex. I like the look of leather better, but something like a mask, to me, an axe mask is much more utilitarian than a knife sheath. A knife sheath is like, that's part of it. It's always there with it. It's always in and out of the sheath. That should look and feel and be ideally just as nice as the knife. All right, got that. Cut here. Everyday people. When you're cutting leather, don't try to cut through on your first pass. Just make a pass. Usually it takes me about 3 passes to get through, but the first pass is kind of a light pass, and that one's there just to mark the line. You'll mark the line, and then the blade will follow in that channel that you made, so you can make it a kind of a gentle, just a small cut. That way you're not pushing too hard. You're just kind of gently making that mark. With your first pass, that one. And that was kind of a long, curvy cut. So make it gentle at first, just a little bit of pressure, and then you can come back behind it, and your blade will want to follow in that track. So then you can come a little bit harder. Anytime you're pushing down really hard on something, the tendency to slip and make a bad mistake is much higher when you're using a lot more pressure. So do gentle pressure, make that first cut, then make your second and third cut. However many cuts you need after that, you got a little bit more pressure. Kiradashi for cutting leather, very good. Yeah. I thought about that. I actually made a Kiradashi for Sean from Crafting the Life I Want. Made him one for a birthday present or a Christmas present, I think, a couple years ago, out of a old pair of garden shears. Let's see if I have the other half of it somewhere. It's not there. Oh, there it is. Somewhere in here. Let's see, is it over here? Yeah. So, there's half. Where's the other half? Where's the other half? Oh well. pair of garden shears like this. The long garden shears, I cut off one end of that and made a kiridashi out of that. Marking knife. That was for my buddy Sean. Crafting Life I Want on YouTube and Instagram. And I've posted pictures of that on Instagram. I like kiridashis and things for like woodworking, because you want, especially like a marking tool. For leather, I think a really thin blade, I would say really sharp, but a really thin blade also works really well because you can cut really, like you can follow your line. You don't have to worry about it spreading out at all. That's why I like to use just like a razor knife. Careful about going around corners. A lot of times you'll see people doing leather work, they'll kind of go straight to a corner and they'll cut straight lines around it. 3 or 4 straight lines around a corner. That definitely helps to develop that corner without having to try to get your blade to wrap around the corner. These corners are pretty big, so I'm not too worried about it today. Try not to cut my fingers off. Always a good plan. That one should get through. Okay, and we're almost there. Guys are hanging in. This live stream is riveting, I'm sure. But again, it's all about hanging out. Have a great day. Got to go. Rainy day forge today, and I appreciate you hanging out. Maybe check back in, see how we finish up. All right. So that looks good. That's got a little thing there, but I don't mind that. That'll wrap around like that. And snap. Yeah. Alright. So now we have our leather. Let's get this out of here. Put that back over where it was. Okay. Now we've got our template and our piece of leather. Match. Do a few little trimmy trims. Get things the way I like it. Make sure it looks good on the outside. That's always key. Now, obviously, like I said, I left some extra material on this one to be able to grind down, to be able to shape things, but this bottom edge will have to shape before we do dyeing. And then that'll wrap around like so. Marshall, use all the time, nice, yep, Sean. Elliot Marshall made a comment and retracted it. Whew. Almost. Oh, no. Okay. What's wrong? Let me get it backwards. That. The other way. Kind of like that. There. Alright, that's okay. I'm gonna just go with it. Like that. Snap there. Bring that out a little bit more. Goes there. Comes up. Snaps there. So there we go. So that's kind of working through the leather where this goes. You can see this will wrap around here and snap will wrap around. Maybe that's still a little short. I have to use that for another one. Actually, that one, I don't know. I don't like it. Sometimes you gotta test some stuff out, try it, and make adjustments. Draw a template. And it's still a little funky. Still not super happy with that. So that's got to go a little longer there. I think this will work. I have another half hatchet that's got a little bit smaller beard than this one, so maybe I'll use this for that. I'm just looking at the amount of this, how far this snap part hangs over, and I think I want to go a little bit further. I want it to be out here, so I got to go maybe an extra inch there. Bring that up a little bit more. So what I'll do, this is all part of the process. Sometimes you have to do stuff and make changes and adjust things. So I have another half hatchet that I need to make another mask for that's a little bit smaller than this one. So I think this will work if I keep it on that. Go over there. I guess if I brought it back more, I could do that. That'll bring it up more. Maybe that. Yeah, I think that's fine. Still plenty of material out here. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay. Yep, this will work. I had it up a little bit too farther, but I figure, yeah, if I just bring it back some, that's still tons of material there. This comes back, which is nice because it comes almost back to the wood coming out. And make a quick, oh yeah, that's definitely where it was supposed to be. Oh yeah. Make a drawing on here. Make sure that's lined up. Bring this back as far as it can go. Right there. That. Now I'm marking where the bit is on the leather because I'm going to need to make a that's where I'm going to be gluing it and doing my rivets. So I want to make sure that I can see exactly where the metal of the bit is and where I can put my rivets through. That's there. I just did a quick line, draw a little bit darker so I can see it. See a quick line on the front, that's where the actual bit is. And this part here is a little bit long, so I'm going to trim that down a little bit. And again, I'll just do that by eye, bring it down about 1/4 of an inch. That. All these fine modifications and little things, and things you don't see so much on the channel. You guys get the experience to enjoy on the live streams. Right, there. Now that goes down, that comes up, that's good. That, there we go. Hope to catch you later. Love relaxed pacing and content. Or riveting, unless you're actually riveting. Oh, you're on fire over there. Mississippi. Whoa, Mississippi. All right, so there's my leather for the mask. Really, I just want to walk you guys through the process of making that initial template, making sure you do it the right way. I don't know if you guys caught my mistake that I made. I did make a mistake, but it's okay. I was saying that I wanted the snap to be on the left side of the face, and I cut the leather. I had the template upside down. Did it even whatever, like a few times to make sure I was right. Still made the mistake. Snap on the right side, not the left side. But it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's just the snap. It holds the beard. It holds the mask on. Can make some adjustments here to make sure this is all pretty. That'll work perfectly fine. This can be adjusted down. I have material here to adjust, which I want to do. Mount Prevail, Jesse Allison, my man. How's it going? Just here, Jesse, Mount Prevail. Yeah, so the snap's on the other side, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. It's perfectly fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No big deal. It's fine. But it's going to be plenty of material here to do my rivets, which I'll do. But I can't do those until everything's ready. So I'm going to have to buff the edges of this, which I'll do on my grinder. Just sand those, clean it up, get everything the way I want it, nice and even. And then I'll have it, then I can do my die, and then when the die dries and everything is fit really nicely, then I can do my rivets and my snap, and it's that easy. Not too bad. Yeah, I always just clean up these edges with the grinder, the sander. You know, I use a power, whatever grinder, bench grinder, sander, whatever you have, and just clean that stuff up to make sure everything is nice and even, because all these cuts and things. But remember, when you are prepping a piece of leather to build a sheath, whatever your edge is, so you're going to have your welt and your stitched edge, leave all that stuff a little long. You don't need to be completely long. You still want to know where the edge is, but you want to go back and clean that up after you have everything together, because the probability of something kind of shifting or not fitting together right when you're snapping or sewing or riveting, it's much higher. So clean up the edges that you can only get to early on. So that would be like the flap here and the back side. So everything that is not going to be adjusted, that stuff you can clean up. All this back side here, the back here where the snap is, everything here, all the way around, and here is not, this is our final edge. It's not going to be stitched or anything. This front edge is what's going to be stitched. So that I'll leave long. Make sure I have plenty of material here to put my rivets in, and then, and then I'll come back later after I have the rivets in and everything's cleaned up, and I'll grind that flat, and then I'll finish that edge off. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody joining me today. I didn't want this one to go too much longer, so I'm going to stop it here. I will continue working on this, and I'll take some pictures and I'll put them up on Instagram so you can check it out there. I'll also put them up on YouTube community just to show you where I finished off. But that's the main thing. You want to work your template. Flip your axe or knife or whatever it is over your center line. Figure out where your snap's going to be. Test it on your axe first. Make sure everything lines up the way you like it. You have plenty of room. Remember to consider the thickness of your leather, because it's going to bend around things a lot differently than the paper will. So something like this, where I have it here, this needs to bend around, and I have to consider the thickness of the leather here, so I might thin this out a little bit, and also thin out the material here just a little bit, so that way as I bend it around, it's going around the thickness of the leather. This is 7 or 8 ounce leather, so it's almost 1/4 of an inch thick. But yeah, consider that, and protect your axes, protect your knives, keep them sharp, keep them protected by leather or kydex, and yeah, it's been fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you all. Let's see who's here. Maybe I can chat a little bit more, like an edge stitching in leather for some knives. Yeah, I agree. I definitely prefer stitching knives, but an axe mask, like I said, to me seems a little bit more utilitarian, and there's something nice about rivets, especially when you can match that. I like this dark. This is called bison brown. This dark brown is really nice, and then when you get those copper rivets or copper snap in with it, it's just so pretty. So that's what I'll be doing. All right, let's see. Anybody else? All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody. Miguel hanging out from Spain. Got people from all over. Rainy Day Forge. Mountain Prevail is here. Crafting the Life I Want. Brian House from Housework. Kentucky Craftsman. Kentucky Catman Outdoor Adventures. Brandon White. Plastic Belt. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. It's been fun. And I'll do another live stream next week. Keep your eye out. We are working on editing the machete sword video. That one's super exciting. So hopefully that'll be out sometime either this week or early next weekend. But I will be back again next weekend. I'm hoping that I'll be joined by a buddy of mine in the shop. I won't say who it is. But we might be in the shop together and hanging out and doing a live stream. So if you guys want to see a couple people in the shop working on something, I'll give you a heads up next week before we do the live stream. Most likely I'll post on Friday and give you a heads up of when we're going to do it. I like to do it in the mornings because that doesn't kill my entire Saturday, because I always have plans with my wife and daughter to do stuff and our friends. 10:30 was good for me this morning, and doing live streams each week, I was able to set up everything really quickly. So join me again next week for the next live stream. That would be fun. And hope you guys have an awesome day. All right, see you.